Breslov in Purim is something very special. And I'd like just to go through what's considered the ideal schedule of Breslov based on the teachings of Rabbi Nachman, what is accustomed to conduct on the day of Purim. Now, just before I go into it, a note. You should not at all feel guilty if you feel you've been so inspired by Rabbi Nachman's teachings and you want to do this. If things don't work out this way, there's no room at all to get angry and to feel guilty. This is the ideal setting. It's something to daven about, to yearn to get to this schedule, but not at all to go crazy and to make your family upside down because you want dafka specifically to do it like this. With that said, we will now give how in Breslov they act and conduct on the day of Purim. So, everyone on the night of Purim reads the Megillah, and it says in the abridged Code of Jewish Law, the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, that after the reading of the Megillah on the night of Purim, we do a light meal, a Seudah. So in Breslov, they do the light Seudah, but light, not too heavy, so that they can go to sleep early. As opposed to many people, they start partying already at the night of Purim. The partying is reserved for the next day, because that's really when the day of the partying and getting drunk and everything is on the day of Purim, not on the night. So in Breslov, there's an emphasis to do your best as possible to go to bed as early as possible. Those people, again, they have to read the Megillah for their wives and everything. Don't blow up, don't get upset if it doesn't work out that you can go to bed early. If you have to do things, do them. Be happy, be positive, and B'ezrat Hashem, yearn for these things, but not to be broken about them, and God willing, the time will come when you can do this. So again, in Breslov, they try to go to bed early, and ideally, to wake up at midnight on the night of Purim. Midnight, as is known already, Chatzot, is a time of Et Ratzon, a time of divine favor. On the night of Purim, it's multiplied by, you can't imagine. You can't imagine how it's multiplied midnight at Purim. The teaching goes based on the statement of the Maggid of Mizrich, Kol haposhet yad notnim lo. The halacha is that anyone who extends their hand to receive alms on Purim, on the day of Purim, it's a mitzvah to give to everybody. Normally during the year, if you have doubts if the guy is a con artist and he's not sincere and he's a freeloader and he feels he's not a proper, worthy, poor person to give, you're allowed to refrain because of your serious and real worries. But on Purim, even your neighbor who has a Volvo and he has a double garaged villa and everything and a nice house, and you see him asking for alms on Purim, you give to him and you get credited to a mitzvah. That's the mitzvah of Purim. So the Maggid of Mizrach said this also applies between man and God. Whoever sticks their hand out to Hashem with a request, a spiritual prayer request, is answered. Hashem overlooks if a person is deserving or not, and it's the best, most opportune time of the year to ask Hashem. And this is taken to be understood at the midnight point of the night of Purim, which is gold, literally gold. If you want to invest in gold, this is where the gold is to be found, at midnight on Purim. Now, if you can't get up at midnight, so try an hour later. If you can't an hour later, 2 hours. The point is, the earlier the better, because during the day of Purim, there's no time for real davening, because the day is packed with eating and drinking and mitzvot, mishloach manot, matanot avyonim. The day is filled of action. There's no time really for quiet connection with God except for the night of Purim. So if you are fortunate to get up on time early, excellent. You've won a big thing. So in Breslov, it is so stressed, the davening, and even, especially if you can go to a forest and fields to meditate after midnight. So in Breslov circles, for example, here in Jerusalem, they have organized buses, mini buses for free to take people at every round hour from midnight on. There are buses that take people who want to go out and pray in the forest and the fields, to take them out to the forest and the fields. You'll find also in Breslov communities in America, in Canada, also, and anywhere else where there's Breslov strong communities, they have this organized group, minibuses or vans, whatever, to take people to go and daven after midnight in the forest, because it's understood the value of that personal prayer after midnight. Fine. After that, the custom in Breslov, based on the Baal Shem Tov's custom, is to pray early morning on the day of Purim, to daven what's called Netz, Vatikin, to pray the morning prayers as early as possible. That is a Breslov custom. There's no second minyan on Purim. There's only one minyan in most Breslov synagogues, okay? And then immediately afterwards, people already start, the Breslover Hasidim start with doing the mitzvot of giving to the poor, giving to the needy, the matanot levyonim, and also doing the mishloach manot. They have a joke that in the shul, you can do the mitzvah of mishloach manot with one mishloach manot. A passes to B, B passes to C, C to D, and the whole shul is done with one mishloach manot. In other words, right after davening in the synagogue already, people start giving out the mishloach manot, and the people already collecting for matanot levyonim. This is everywhere also, but in Breslov it's stressed to do this ASAP, and already by the morning, it's customary already together with the men in the shul, they have their own personal seuda with fish and wine, in the morning already, to do the mitzvah of eating and drinking already, and starting to get drunk. Rabbi Nachman very was much for and stressed the halacha, the mitzvah and the halacha, to get drunk on Purim. If you're a person who's, God forbid, an alcoholic and with addiction, and whether or not to drink, you must ask your rabbi. That's not the issue here. But someone who's in the normal can drink. So Purim is a time, to drink, and you have to know how to drink also, to stay away from sweet wine. It is suggested by the halacha that white dry wine is healthier. So the custom is to drink white wine. But as I heard from Rav Michal Dorfman, since the drinking on the wine is to subdue Haman, Amalek, who comes from Esav, who's called Edom, red, so it's customary to drink red wine as a significance, a symbol, to subdue Haman, Amalek, Esav, Edom. So what they do, the Breslovers, those who try to drink properly without getting sick, is to drink white dry wine with adding some red dry wine for the color. It's a funny class, I understand, but this is what happens in Breslov. So drinking takes place already in the morning, and then people at that point, they collapse, they go to sleep, whatever, after having such a good night of davening and the morning prayer and being exhausted with that already, and then eating a morning meal and drinking, so most people are already wasted. Then after sleeping a few hours, they get up, and then you have the family seuda, a second seuda of the family, whatever, and dancing and being happy. This, in a nutshell, is Breslov in Purim, or Purim in Breslov.